Now, your weekly dose of inspiration, perspiration, and just the right amount of bull defecation. The Get You Some Radio Show with your host, the Vice President of Making Shit Happen, Terry Lancaster.
Here we go. Microphone check. 1, 2, 1, 2. The Get You Some Radio Show. I'm Terry Lancaster, and welcome to the new studios. We got a backdrop. We got lights. We got a microphone. We is big time, baby. And this week we got a big time guest here on the Get You Some Radio Show. Chip Eichelberger. Chip Eichelberger is one of the top 5 motivational speakers in the country, according to Speaker Magazine. Top 5 motivational speakers in the country. He learned at the feet of Tony Robbins. He was Tony Robbins' point man in Australia and his #1 salesperson in the heyday of motivational speaking back in the 80s. So Chip was on stage in front of 1,500 people before he ever got paid to speak on stage. So he learned how to do this well. He's also a new author. I got a new best-selling book called The Smart Guide to Accomplishing Your Goals. It's a 300-page encyclopedia full of life hacks for improving your life in every area. And Chip and I get down to brass tacks today. You need to sit down, buckle up, and hang on, because this comes rapid fire. We're talking about my #1 subject in the world, the internet, the interconnect right there where your personal wellness and your emotional wellness and your physical wellness and your psychological wellness, your financial wellness and your career wellness, the health of your career, how they all wrap up together, how they all intertwine. The big boy word is synchronicity. We talk about the power of establishing streaks to create a new habit. For those of you who know, I just ran my 903rd day in a row this morning. I've ran a 1 mile every day for the last 903 days in a row. And Chip Eichelberger is really one of the guys that got me started on that, because I got started talking to him about his push-up streak. So we're going to go more into detail about that, how streaks create habits and streaks start with one. We talk about putting our goals down to bite-sized little snippets and eating the elephants one at a time, because if you're talking about doing 10,000 push-ups or running a marathon, it all starts with the first step. And the only way to do it is to do it. And Chip goes on about the subtlety of failure. He brings in quotes from Jim Rohn and quotes from Tony Robbins. And he talks about this area that if you see a person who is, their desk is a mess up, their car is dirty, their shoes are dirty, their ties are on crooked, and they're a mess, they're probably going to be a mess in business and in life, because you can't be out of whack. He says, show me someone whose life is a mess, and I'll show you someone whose mind is a mess. Then in rapid fire, Chip goes on and gives you 1-step plans for losing 26 pounds in a year. He tells you how you can save $10,000 a year on your life insurance, on your health insurance, starting right now. And then he gives you another plan for saving $36,000 over the course of your lifetime by getting rid of one bad habit. All of these are costing you money and costing you anxiety, increasing your stress, and increasing your dependence on medication, and probably costing you sales, because if you're worried about your health, if you're worried about your money, if you're stressed out about that, you're not going to be able to take care of your customers the right way. And Chip says you got to take care of you to take care of your customers. He says your health and your vitality is your #1 asset, and protecting and nourishing that is your top priority. And he gives you a plan for devoting just 4% of your day. 4% of your day to taking care of you gives you a chance to take care of everyone else better. Chip Eichelberger coming up on the Get You Some Radio Show here in just a minute. But first, we have to talk about the subscriber of the week. This week's subscriber of the week, Dale Rushing from Tupelo, Mississippi. Yay, Dale. Dale gets him a copy of my book, Better Self-Help for the Rest of Us. And I can get you one too. Better Self-Help for the Rest of Us. I'll drop it in the mail to you next week. All you have to do is be the subscriber of the week. And you can't be the subscriber of the week unless you subscribe. And what you have to do to subscribe, it says right there, go to terrylancaster.tv, terrylancaster.tv. There's going to be a big red button up above my head. Click that button, subscribe. Let's see what we can do about getting you a copy of the book in the mail. And finally, talking about my Predators. We're cutting the intro short today. Got to run and gun because I'm on my way out the door to go to Game 6 of the Western Conference Finals of the Stanley Cup playoffs. The Nashville Predators are facing the Anaheim Ducks. We're leading 3-2 in the series. Tonight is Game 6. We can put them out tonight. We can do the handshakes tonight. We can move on to the Stanley Cup Finals tonight. And I've talked about this before. I'm way more excited about this than I ought to be. I know it's just a game. I know they're just boys down there playing a game, and it doesn't impact every area of my life, but it has been a phenomenal experience, and my family has enjoyed it, and I've had great conversations with friends and with customers about the Predators, and I've done every episode of my new form to get you some radio show, done every episode in the Predators jersey in support of the Preds. So as long as they keep on winning, I'm going to keep on wearing the jersey, keep sporting the fluffy, scruffy playoff beard. So I'm headed out the door to see the Preds. Go Preds! Chip Eichelberger coming up next.
If you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, if you're struggling to be perfect, hoping for average, and settling for anything less than the life you were born to lead, you can do better. Better. Self-help for the rest of us. The groundbreaking new personal development book from Terry Lancaster. Get your free copy today at terrylancaster.com.
So you know how in all the commercials they have the fast-talking guy at the very end and he gives you all the important information? Well, I'm going to give you the disclaimer right up front. This book will not make you a millionaire or a movie star. It's not going to give you six-pack abs, and it's not going to give you gleaming white, perfectly straight teeth. But perfection is overrated. It's a fantasy, and it doesn't exist in nature. What this book will do is give you proven strategies for making your actual life better. You can build a better life, one better decision at a time.
Better. Self-help for the rest of us. Get your free copy today at terrylancaster.com. Get you some radio.
Hey, welcome everyone to the Get You Some Radio Studios. I'm Terry Lancaster. Today we have Chip Eichelberger in the studio. Chip is he's one of the best. He's one of the top 5 motivational speakers in the country, and he's an author. The Smart Guide to Accomplishing Your Goals. His new book just out. He's going to talk about that just a little bit. He's going to tell us how he got to where he is. He's going to tell us what you can do to get where you're going. But before we start, Chip, I got to tell you, I don't know if you know it, but you kind of ruined my life. You were one of the guys. I met you almost 2 years ago, maybe. And I had just started running, and you told me that you'd been doing push-ups every single day for as long as a person could remember. So that kind of I've run now for 800 and I think 90 some odd days in a row. I'm pushing 900 days in a row, running at least a mile. I know you've got the 22 push-ups a day streak going for years and years and years.
Well, more than that, 49 a day. 49 a day.
You're up to 49 a day?
That's been my average. Some days hit more, some days hit less. But, you know, that was the principle, was the little disciplines every day. 28 push-ups a day is 10,000 a year.
Right.
And most people think, well, I need to do 10,000 push-ups a year. They think, damn, I can't do that. But can you do 28 a day?
Yeah.
And so that was the piece where when you start a streak starts with 1.
Right.
So the key is start that streak, track it, and don't kill it.
Yeah, push it one foot in front of the other. You eat the elephant one bite at a time. So, yeah, that's kind of what got me started down the road. And then I found out you're a motivational speaker. And I be honest with you, when I met you, Chip, I'd never heard of you. But the first thing I did when I went home is I Googled you.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, Chip's kind of a big deal. I didn't know Chip was a big, but he's just a regular guy. I mean, we had lunch and we were talking. You're just a regular guy, and then I find out that you speak in front of audiences all over the country every day, every week, and work with Tony Robbins. And you made it look, again, you made everything look obtainable. So that's thinking about new things. And when I started following you and learned about your Get Switch On program, it kind of clicked in my brain. Everything that you talk about, especially the part of building a better you and taking care of yourself so that you can take care of the business. So tell everyone who Chip Eichelberger is, how you got here.
Oh, brief story. I mean, I've been speaking now for 23 years. I did start with Tony Robbins, was on the road back in the heyday, back in 88, and helped build his brand, US, Australia, and the UK. And, I was his number one salesperson every year. I was on the road and learned by repetition. Speaking is an acquired skill. Anybody can be good. I just did it, almost 1,500 times to promote him before I ever got paid to go on stage. So, just really got my reps in. And I've made my living opening and closing conventions for Ford to Remax to Hyatt to Campbell Soup. So I'm very, very blessed. I love what I do. It's a lifestyle business. I'm on the road maybe 100-ish plus days a year, but I'm home 265, 24/7 the rest. So it's a great business. And, part of my message is really that piece around getting switched on is thinking long-term. It's the subtlety of failure. Jim Rohn used to talk about, and if people aren't familiar with Jim Rohn, write it down, ROHN. Jim was Tony's mentor. Jim passed away, I think it's 5 years now.
Yeah.
And he just talked about, it's the subtle errors. If you're in sales and you don't make your quota, likely it wasn't one deal that didn't go through that caused it. It was little mistakes you made day after day after day in prospecting and following up and not practicing your pitch, preparing for meetings that led you to missing your quota, right? How do you get 50 pounds overweight? Well, it was a donut at a time probably. You just didn't put on 50 one day. It was those little things. You don't wake up at age 65 broke. That wasn't the day you went broke. It was errors with every paycheck. So getting people to understand that anybody can be a peak performer, it's isolating those little errors, turning them into a new discipline and thinking long term. And if you really want to truly be switched on in life, the key thing, health and vitality is a key component of that. Yeah. And taking care of your number one asset is everything. I mean, your health, your vitality, your ability to stay stress-free. And what's the natural status in life is joy.
Yeah.
It's not stress. It's not depression. But we have a medicated country who, we got 1 out of 4 females and about 1 out of 5.5 men are taking antidepressants every day because they don't think they can manage their emotions. That's just crazy.
It is. I can't believe that statistic drives me crazy.
Oh, it's amazing. And all the research shows there's no study to say that any placebo or any antidepressant or sleep aid is better than a placebo. So what I try to get across to people is, it's a holistic approach. 1 Corinthians 15:33, don't be misled. Bad company will corrupt good character. And it's not just the bad company of who you hang around. It's what websites you go to. It's what you're reading. It's what you're binge watching on Netflix. It's who you're hanging around too.
Yeah.
So, if you're not losing friends as you get more successful, you're probably doing something wrong because there are some people in life you have to leave behind to take your life to the next level.
Absolutely. And we were talking about health. You said 1 out of 5 people are on antidepressants. $1 out of $5 in the United States is spent on healthcare. It's our biggest expense by far. It's crazy how much it costs to take care of yourself because people don't take care of themselves.
Yeah. Well, we still have a disease care system. It's not meant to keep people healthy. It's like I was just listening to the radio today. The big healthcare bill is the big thing. And people, are you going to take care of pre-existing conditions? Well, there's no business model where that makes sense. You can't have homeowners insurance and offer it to people after their house is on fire.
Right.
It's just, we've got to incentive, what's the word? Give incentives. What's the word? Incentivize,
yeah.
To take good care of yourself. So, if you have a horrible driving record, you should pay a bigger premium. If you're 100 pounds overweight and have type 2 diabetes, you should have to pay more. It's just common sense. We've got to hit people in their pocketbook a little bit. For me, as a self-employed person, this is just a piece of advice to people out there. If you're self-employed and you're 1099 and you're paying your own healthcare costs, you need to look into health sharing. It'll save you a fortune. If you want more information, my email is chip@getswitchedon.com. But the company I've gone with, I was like you. I've got a family of 5. I had Blue Cross Blue Shield, high deductible policy. I was paying like under $600 a month 3 years ago. Then it went to $900. Then the next year I got my premium bill. It was $1,184 a month for the same coverage.
Right.
And I'm like, this is ridiculous. So I found out, I think the best health sharing plan. And now my monthly went from $1,184 to $449 a month.
Yeah.
Same coverage. So if my email's chip@getswitchedon.com if you want to find out more. But I don't market it, but it's just a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. I've had so many friends switch over, and that's saving me almost $800 a month. significant.
And you take care of yourself. Like I said, you do the push-ups every day. You just got off the golf course. You got the beautiful tan. I mean, you're in good shape. You take.
Well, let me give people a tip. Here's a document right here. You can download. You can't get in there, but it says "Get Switched On Energy Schedule," and I've been tracking this now for 24 years. And it's simply as a sheet you put on the mirror in your bathroom, and it says, "I must," not "I should." "I must work out a minimum of blank days a month." And then you sign it, you take your oath, contract with yourself to take care of your number one asset, work out at least 30 minutes aerobic. You know, one thing I learned from Tony Robbins is a healthier body is a healthier cells. Healthier cells is oxygen, feeding oxygen. Aerobic exercise means to exercise with air. So at least 30 minutes. All the research shows if you want to heal your heart, for example, you have to train harder. You don't go on the treadmill at the same space. You got to get your heart rate up, get it down, get it up, get it down. So at least 30 minutes of that, plus, some strength training, core training, push-ups, whatever you're going to do. So this goes on the mirror in your bathroom. It's like you put in May there. May 2nd, I just walked 7 miles carrying my golf bag. That counts as a workout. What is it, May 3rd, right? So I fill in that box under May 3rd. It says goal, actual, and it says weight. So you put in your weight at the beginning of the month, and then you track end of the month. What'd you do? Did you do 15, 17? I've done this, and there's also 5 tips for health, energy, and vitality. And there's also a link. If you Google Get Switched On Energy Schedule, you can get the PDF of this. If you Google Get Switched On Smoothie, there's a smoothie recipe. Will change your life if you're not drinking something like that. You can Google that and get that. But this is a simple way to get a clear vision of what you need to do. Write it down, display it, and track it. Hold yourself accountable. If you're not tracking your exercise, where else do you stop keeping score? You're probably not tracking key health things. You don't know your standing heart rate. You don't know your triglycerides. You don't know your blood pressure. You don't know how much money you're saving. I mean, you've got to track.
I've had this conversation with other sales trainers, though. I've talked about the importance of exercise and taking care of yourselves and this being your most valuable resource. And I had one guy tell me, he says, "Hey, I flat out don't care. If you're 400 pounds, pounding down scotches and Big Macs all day long, as long as you can close the deal, good on you. Keep on." I mean, he said, "I know tons of guys, 300, 400 pounds, just eating like crazy, drinking like crazy, smoking like crazy, and they're sales machines." How does your personal affect your business?
Well, everything affects everything. I mean, a couple of statistics out there. It's easy to do the math. Just look it up yourself. But if you're drinking, number one source of calories in America is soda. So if you're drinking one 12-ounce soda a day, that's 50,000 calories. That's about 13 pounds a year. If you're drinking 2 sodas a day, that's 26 pounds a year. You might think, well, it's only 2 sodas a day, but that's going to additional 26 pounds a year. You think, hey, let's just do 10 cigarettes a day. I only smoke 10 cigarettes a day. Well, that's 3,650 a year. That's 36,510 years. And that's going to cost you, if you run the numbers, $44,000. Yeah. How'd you go broke? You smoked it.
Yeah.
Why are you 50 pounds? Jim Rohn used to say, how much overweight should you be at 50?
All right.
Not much. We'll give you a couple. But in my years, and I've been 100% commission my entire career, I've never had a salary in my life. You show me a salesperson whose shoes are dirty, whose car looks like crap, they got samples all over the place, it's not cleaned, it's not vacuumed, their desk area is not good. I'll tell you a salesperson who's not reaching their potential. You show me a guy who's out of shape, I'll show you a guy who likely is not achieving their potential. Because one way to look at it, you need to look long term. You can say, okay, Chip, I'm going to burn the candle at both ends. I'm going to work real hard. Because my dad, I grew up with my dad had a Ford dealership for 25 years. I grew up since I was 7 years old around that. And that's a great business. But also the challenge is there's a lot of temptations there. You see a lot of people in that business don't eat well. They're working long hours. They're not exercising like they could. They smoke. They're drinking too much. Okay.
Right.
You can say, I'm not going to take care of myself now. And that's okay. Likely one day, who knows, age 45, age 55, you're going to wake up with a disease. Because one of the great quotes I got from Tony Robbins is, the vast majority of people, 76%, are going to die of preventable diseases. Mm-hmm. So age 45, age 50, you neglected those little disciplines every day. Now you're going to have to pay the piper because you woke up with a disease you could have easily avoided. And now you're going to spend major time, major money, major stress, major mental anguish, reversing something you could have easily avoided. But hey, I was too busy.
Yeah. And
not a good trade. That's regret.
And once you start swimming against the tide, it's a hard turnaround. The diabetes, I've put people in the ground because of diabetes. And if they'd started 10 years earlier, that was something that was completely preventable. But
well, here's the problem. And I did a program for Eli Lilly, who created the first insulin for type 1 diabetes. Turn of the century, 1900s, type 2 didn't even exist. Okay, you got 1 million people every year right now being diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. Totally avoidable disease, right? Lifestyle disease, children getting it, right? 95+% of the diabetics in the country now are type 2 diabetics, not type 1. And I did a program for Eli Lilly because my program's about looking long-term, clear vision, game plan, accountability, measurement, keep and score, growth mindset, confronting brutal facts, taking drastic action to change, right? And I said, what percentage of and these were pediatricians treating children with the type 2 diabetes disease state. I said, what percentage of your patients, adults or children, walk out of here knowing, you know what, you gave this disease to yourself. You have the ability to reverse it. We're going to set up a plan. I'm going to track you, measure you, and we're going to do it. What percentage of your patients? Guess what they said, Terry?
I would close to zero.
Zero.
Yeah.
Because it's now, how do we manage it with drugs?
Well, I've had the conversation with relatives, if you would exercise and eat right, and they go, well, I will, but the medicine's taking care of it right now. The insulin's doing this. So I'll try the diet and exercise when the insulin quits working. As long as the insulin's got it under control, I'm good. I'm still doing what I want.
Excuse me, I forgot to turn off my cell phone here. Well, that's like the person who takes antidepressants. Mm-hmm. I can take the pill. I don't have to look up my life and my exercise and my eating habits and watching my 600-pound life and Hoarders and Netflix, watching, what is that? Walking Dead?
Walking Dead, yeah.
Watch 60 episodes of The Walking Dead this weekend. That couldn't have anything to do with it. So, yeah. I would just advise people, I don't know what's happening in your life right now. I credit you for listening to this, watching. This is video, right?
This is all.
Well, this is kind of cool. So watching the podcast, obviously my belief system is you were led here.
Yeah.
It's not an accident you're watching this. I'll just give you a couple voices because I just felt led to say this. Number one, if you don't know who Jim Rohn is, go to YouTube. It's free. Used to have, remember back in the day, I in my back closet, I've got at least 25 of the best cassette series of all time.
Oh, yeah.
For you young people, there used to be cassettes we listened to stuff on. We didn't stream it, and we had to pay for it. Now it's free. So, if you go to YouTube and look up Jim Rohn, look up Brian Tracy, look up Tony Robbins and some of these people, the information's out there. Yeah. My big thing I listen to, have you gotten into Tim Ferriss, Ferriss?
The 4-Hour Workweek.
Yeah, well, he's probably got the #1 podcast in the world. His new book, Tools of Titans, is about this thick. I'm trying to get my 17-year-old. I'm convincing. I go, buddy, you'll be a millionaire by 25. He's 17. If you just study this book and this information over the next 5 years, you will be a millionaire. And it's starting to whet his appetite a little bit. So, it's just the founder of the National Speakers Association had the best quote on that. He used to say, school is never out for the professional. Cavett Roberts, school is never out for the professional. Statisticbrain.com, I quote this in my presentations, 80% of the families in the U.S. last year didn't buy a book.
80%.
1/3 of the high school graduates will never read one book after high school. And that's one lesson I've tried to give my son is that if you want to make more money, it's not about time, it's about value. Money equals an exchange of value. Mm-hmm. It's not how much, people think, how much are you going to pay me per hour, per week, per month, per year for salary? Well, that's not the key. People would look at what I make for an hour on stage and think, my God, that's a lot of money. Yes, and it's taken me 20 years to build that much value in an hour so I could have 1,000 people in an audience go, damn, that was valuable. It didn't happen overnight. So how do you increase your value? Well, you've got to take, and I call it the 4% solution. If you want to take away from this short talk we're having, 24 hours in a day, if you take 4% of that, that's 1 hour if you do the math. 168 hours a week. 7 hours out of 168 is 4% of your week. If you can consistently say, you know what, I've got to take care of my number one asset. So it's working out. All the research shows you're going to work out. Best time of day to work out in the morning. I'm going to take, number 3 on here is bring a cooler with you to have healthy food. Because if you don't have anything good to eat, you're going to eat crap. 4% is reading, listening. I double it up now. I used to listen to music when I work out. Now I just listen to podcasts.
Right.
Whether it's somebody like Tim Ferriss or golf podcasts like On the Mark. I found a really cool one. We're about the same age. I'm 56. You know Gilbert Gottfried?
Oh, sure.
The crazy comedian. He's got Gilbert Gottfried's podcast, and he goes back and interviews some of the great old actors, all the amazing stories. He's got like 70 of them. I mean, just fascinating. So I'm listening to new stuff all the time to try to become more valuable. So if you can take 4% of your day back on yourself, reading the right stuff, working out, making the smoothie, juicing, whatever it's going to be, that discipline day after day, you'll be rewarded for it. I mean, one of the great quotes of all time is Jim Rohn. We'll all suffer one of 2 pains, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. Discipline weighs ounces. Regret weighs tons.
Yeah.
That's such a powerful quote.
So we're talking about feeding the brain. Let's talk about your book.
Okay. I did it with a great friend of mine. It's called The Smart Guide to Accomplishing Your Goals. Did it with the most brilliant guys in the business. His name is Jeff Davidson. This is a manual. It's 300 pages in every area of your life, how to set up and accomplish your goals and exceed your goals. And it's really, life hacks. Whether you're single, whether you're married, whether you're moving towards retirement, it's not really a book you're reading cover to cover. It's how to set it up for yourself, for goals for your family, goals financially, goals for health, every area of your life. And it's just, 20 years of experience wrapped into one little book there for $20.
Yeah.
It's one of the things I've learned is that I got the lesson. Remember Tom Hopkins?
Sure.
You know Tom Hopkins? I mean, Tom Hopkins is still out there, one of the great sales trainers of all time. When I was 1983, graduated from University of Oregon, got my first job with Janssen Sportswear. And I remember I saw this little ad on TV. It was the official guide to success and how to master the art of selling anything. It was about $279 for those. I think there were 6 or 12, 12 cassette series. So 24 cassettes for almost $300. And I'm like, good God, that's a lot of money. Yeah. But what it did was, and I was driving around, I listened to those things. I still got them over and over and over and over and over. And so it taught me the value of making an investment, because I used to think, well, if you're going to spend $20, going to get $20 back. Well, if you spend 20, you better find a way to get 2,000 back.
Sure.
So the more you freely invest back in your number one asset, which is yourself, the more you get a habit of that, the more it pays off for you.
Well, we talk about habits, and my thing about habits is you start small and you keep consistently and you grow them until they become a habit. So every episode I try to leave the audience with one tip, one action step that they can start taking today. Maybe they can do it again tomorrow. Maybe they can do it again the next day, and they can build this step into a long-term habit to boost their life and boost their business. So narrow it down to one.
Okay, well, I'll give people a couple key things. If you're in sales, a couple key things. Number one, if you don't have a good quality headset, I've got a Plantronics headset right here. It's got a mute button on it. I can walk around. All the best telemarketers have a headset. Stand up when you make your phone calls. I have a stand-up desk. I don't know if we can see it right now. This desk right here with my monitor goes up and down, so I can stand up. I always found that some of the most successful people are standing more. So if you have to set your office up so you're effective, that little step of working out in the morning, but the problem is some people, I'm not a morning person. Well, you got to change that belief. The streak starts with one. You can change it. You go from somebody who didn't do that to somebody who did. Start the streak and don't kill it. So you got to maximize your life for energy. You've got to it's the thermostat versus thermometer analogy. Most people are thermometer. Why do they take antidepressants? Have a good day, have a bad day. I want to change the way I have a bad day outside of myself. I need to eat something or drink something to make me feel better. You got a thermostat. You got to change the way you're looking at stuff. Earl Nightingale, if you haven't listened to it before, go to YouTube, The Strangest Secret.
I had that on cassette. That's what I drove.
Exactly. The strangest secret in life is you will become what you think about most often. You show me somebody's life is all messed up, their brain is all messed up. late friend Zig Ziglar used to call it stinking thinking. You need to check up from the neck up. You have to focus and you put in different things. So what you're reading, what you're listening to, who you're hanging around. That old term, garbage in, garbage out, is crap. Garbage in, you're reading the wrong stuff, hanging around the wrong people, watching the wrong thing. Garbage in, garbage stays. Garbage gets warped, right? It closes in. So you got to change what you're focusing on, but it's your physiology. How you move, how you stand, how you breathe is essential. Yeah. So you got to manage that. If you want to go, you go to my YouTube channel, look up Chip Eichelberger and How to Have a High Energy Day, Part 1 and Part 2. I've got probably 40 plus free little snackable content, 2 to 5 minute videos up there. You've just got to make a decision, especially if you're in sales. For most people, you can make as much or as little as you want. There's very few degrees for sales, you know. Right. People stop learning. If I were in sales, here's a bonus tip. I would find people in other industries around you, network, who are the best salespeople. Call them up and say, you know what, I heard you were fantastic at what you do. This is who I am. I'd love to take you out to lunch to pick your brain to find out why you're so successful. Very few people will say no. Make it a study. People are enormously generous. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Chip, how do people get in touch with you? How do they buy the book? Well, there's a button right there. My website is getswitchedon.com right there. Email is chip@getswitchedon.com. My contact information, everything is right there. You know, it's just you got to make a decision to say, hey, you know what? Here's who I am now. Where do I need to be? What is the information I need to take in? Again, I'll go back to Jim Rohn. What's the value of a book like this? What's the value to a mentor? Jim used to say we can all use a little coaching. When you're playing the game, it's hard to think of everything. You know, that's the value. Somebody said, hey, have you thought about this? You're like, oh, here's a bonus tip. If you're in sales, take your smartphone, get the audio recorder, and the next time you're out there, 2 things, clandestine, push record, and go do your sales presentation. Mm-hmm. Or you go out there and you say, you know what, I'm constantly trying to improve my craft. I want to make sure I'm listening as well as I can. Would you mind if I just recorded this today? Most people are going to say, no problem. I would wager 90% of the people are watching have never heard themselves live in front of a customer. Yeah. It takes guts to do it. It takes a lot more guts to listen, because I guarantee you're not as good as you think you are. And that one little habit right there of videotaping as you can, audio recording, going back and listening and finding out how you can open better, close better, tell better stories, overcome objections, will take you to the next level. And it's so easy to do. Yeah. But the problem is it's really easy not to do. We have the enormous technology to change our lives and change others' lives now. It's crazy what we can do in our hands. Absolutely. Chip, thank you so much for being on the show. I appreciate you. You're a bundle of energy. I guarantee you change lives every time you open your mouth. So. Hey, I appreciate it, brother. Thank you. Call my wife and tell her that for me, will you? That's great. Let her know. Thanks so much, guys. We'll see you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Get You Some Radio. You've been listening to the Get You Some Radio Show. Subscribe today at terrylancaster.tv to hear more episodes, win valuable cash and prizes, and get free training to help you create an army of buyers who know, like, and trust you before they've ever even met you. It's a big, wide world, boys and girls. Get out there and get you some.